Hi, this is Kristi and Katrina with the DK805 Podcast. And we have Gavin Dixon here today with his beautiful mom, Sue. His fiance may be joining us later. And where are you located, Gavin?
So we're from Durham in northeast of England.
So we're going to get a whole different perspective on addiction and how it affects families today. Thank you. We're so excited to have both of you on here.
So looking forward to speaking with both of you. And I can just say that I'm drawn to certain, they resonate with me, the different podcasts that just come on the algorithm, the stream coming on in the recovery community. And Gavin, yours stood out just, and with your mom speaking about the view from a mom, a view from this painful journey of addiction. And so I gravitated towards what you were sharing, the intensity of your wanting to help other people through your own recovery.
Yeah.
That just made me want to cry because we just came off of this other one that was a little bit lighter. And I just was really, really moved deeply by, I reached out to you, Gavin, and you sent me the pages of your book. And I was crying all the way through them because it was the view of your mom's story and her journey, walking through it with you. And that's really the untold story of what happens to the families. And as mothers who have lost to this fentanyl crisis, that's why we started to raise awareness, to save. So it's a different kind of recovery. We're in recovery of grief, and we're trying to save others through reaching as many people. And we've just found an immensely beautiful community of recovery and support for active addiction. And then if you're on our side of grief and you're watching us here on the DK805 podcast, today we have Gavin, who wrote a book. He's an author, and he wrote this amazing book.
Yes, so it's called The Devil. It's called The Devil Diary of an Addict. And I mean, it's just profound how well it's gone. It's like when I set out to write the book, it was set out just to change maybe one or two families. And it was...
When we set out to do this, we were told it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
They said, this won't work like with Dual. Yeah. But Gavin decided he would. Yeah, so he wanted to do it, and he was going to do it, and he was determined to do it because he wanted to help other people out there. And he just more or less did it all himself.
Yeah, so when I set out to do the book, I approached every single publishing house in America, in the UK, and they all said a dual voice won't work. It's too much of the same story, chapter after chapter. But they couldn't get me point of this addiction is a family disease.
Yes.
They couldn't get it. And so do you know I'm getting emotional? It's okay. It's just because it's been like such a long journey. And it was like, I started 5 years ago. And when I started writing the book, in my view, I hadn't completely finished my recovery, because I was looking at recovery of addiction as just the drugs would be solution. That's what I used for my disease of addiction. But I hadn't even gone into my trauma. So while I was writing my book, and every time I was going through my trauma, I kept on relapsing. I went through 5 rehabs, and I was great in a rehab. But as soon as I got into real life, what I didn't understand about the diseases, I didn't understand the neuroscience behind it. I didn't understand why my choice wasn't my own anymore. And I was thinking, I'm doing great now. I've just done 3 months in a rehab. Why am I coming out into the world? I'm lasting great for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. A month was my longest. And then I was relapsing again. And I couldn't understand this. So what it was, I had to go into the neuroscience on it. Because I'm middle of mental, I've got ADHD, and it's just like I needed to know why I kept on relapsing, because I took everything, and I was doing 20 meetings a week. I was doing NASC, AA. I was doing online meetings. I was chairing meetings. I was doing the milk boy. I was doing loads of different roles at different meetings. So to go against all my character defects, but I was still making these stupid choices which I couldn't control. And when I went into the neuroscience behind it, it was because my trauma was still in my survival part of my brain. So all my emotions were still coming off my caveman brain. And so I had to go into intense trauma therapy, cat therapy. And when I'd done that, it was such a hard journey, but we got the book finished. I'd finished my trauma chapter, and which was so intense because I was like reliving. And so what I did then, when I was writing the trauma section, it was I had to like be in close contact with my trauma counselor. And it was God, I never cry. Like it's mad. It's the best thing about recovery, all your emotions come back. Worst thing about recovery, all your emotions come back. And it's just like sometimes I can go days, and sometimes I just get one slight thing about emotions, and it's not. I'm not ashamed to cry anymore. It's tears of healing. It's tears of happiness. So it's like
it's love. I mean, it's tears. It's healing. It's recovery.
Exactly.
We talk about the recovery. Our sons, they did fight hard, and there were many recovery treatments, and in that we know the underlying trauma, whatever is that trigger that comes, and it's like, again, until that's healed, it's always, it's there, and it's that feeling of just talking about the vulnerability of coming on and sharing our stories. There's a lot of, and for you sharing the depth of the depth which are written in your pages that are they will reach so many people, because it like explains it in a way. Like that's what I said when you sent me the pages, I just was like, I couldn't even quite put it into words, but I had to like message you back to share that that's the thing. It's the underlining, the shame that keeps you, that cycle of that definition of insanity, feeling like, that, it wasn't good enough what he had done, my son trying, and then, or that why was he doing the same thing over and over as a mother? And I know that with your mother sharing her, and then reading that when I was reading your pages, and you were sharing your journey. And then it just right away, it was like, when mom's view, I just was like, that's it.
That's why I had to do it that way, because as it's addiction is a family disease, there's no point, like there's so many memoirs out there about addiction from just an addict's point. There's a lot of memoirs out there for just a mother's point. But what needs, when I used to get books, like when I used to research addiction, and I'd read a book. And one thing I went into as well, the writing was too small for us. There's too many words on a page, and I was just, my mental health would go. And because it was like 1,000 pages, I would just give up. I didn't want to read it, so I looked at what the book should look like. So I looked into the color of the pages. You set out the words, how many words should be on a page. So that's why we did it. So it's an easy read for someone in addiction or with mental health or a parent going through trauma. That's why it's so easy. But then we'll put the aspect in is like, the journey needs to be an addict traveling through. Then at the end of that, a mother's reflection on what the addict just went through, but from a mother's perspective as well. So the people reading can see the addict, what he's went through at that point, then what the mother's going through, or a partner, whoever it was, going through at the same point.
Right.
But when I was trying to sell this, when I was trying to get a publisher, they thought it would just be the same chapter, and it's completely different. What I saw at that point, what my mum saw and went through, the emotions were different, the pain was different, the suffering was different. And so the journey is just, and it absolutely exploded online. It's like, I did it myself, wrote it myself, edited it myself, and then put it out there myself. And when we released it, we were up against like Anthony Hopkins, Matthew Perry, Lulu, Ringo Starr.
Matthew Perry.
And we, our book in the last 2 months has sold more than all of them. We've been number one biggest selling book on Amazon International. We've been number one on the hot list, and we've been constantly in the top 5 in all addiction recovery, health and recovery, and health and well-being across numerous. So it's the thing that's why I get so like emotional. It's like emotion of happiness, is because the story I was told wouldn't work has worked.
Your work has worked. Your work that you've put into your life, and the work that you're giving back and sharing your story, and is going to help and will help so many people that are in that, like we like to ask that, like if there is like one thing a person could say that as the other end of recovery that would help that one person. We know there's not one thing, but it's, I think the work that goes into it and that surrender and then doing and not listening to the no's and that kindness and compassion to yourself to keep going. And so that your mom can be sitting here with you and having this where she can see this, can just feel the love and just pride in that. Again, we are in a walk with fentanyl. Fentanyl does take it's a poison of epidemic levels, now being called a weapon of mass destruction because it's designed to kill. There is no experimental age, that time of I think and as I'm going back into your book, the excitement years, or the things that when you're young and you think that you can outrun it, and those are things that you, until it takes over. And if you're that one that is going to be, it ignites in you as like say someone that can put a glass of wine and push it away. One person for the addicted, it isn't the same. And people need to understand that they don't make the choice to keep hurting themselves over and over again. And so, like I said, Kristi's, well, you can share your son. Devin went to over 18 rehabs. And
I actually have lost count over how many rehabs Devin went to. The reframing of the pain involved with what has happened to us. And so the reframing of Devin's, I call it his graduation date from life, 6/6/24. So the things that hurt us heal us when we allow a greater good into the world.
So all of that pain that you endured, it's for a greater good. It's for this greater good, Gavin.
So thank you.
That's when I was speaking to you yesterday, and we're talking about the book. I think it was yesterday before I was talking to you, Katrina. It was like when I set up, when I wrote the book, it was part of me amends. So it was like it had to be. It's like I couldn't. There's no way I could give my mum back 25 years of hell. Like I was literally living hell when I put her through, and it was just like, so I couldn't. She was. Amends is not about forgiveness. Amends is about what can I do to put this right. And I could never give her back the years, but what I could do is give back, sharing it as a family story, sharing it as a family disease. This is what we went through. This is the things that work for us. The amends that I can't make to my mum, I could hopefully make to parents who are just about to start to go through it.
Yes.
So this is why it had to be about the families.
Yes.
It had to be,
and that is exactly. I've read every book that I could get my hands on, voracious reading of everything I could try to understand what my Dylan was going through. And he was a hard skateboarder, and I would reach like Brandon Novak's book. And then what finally clicked on that though was and you said Matthew Perry's book, and that was again their views, and they shared their stories deeply, and it was the understanding of just that inner thing that tells that that warm blanket that they put on that they start with, and their stories are profound. But it is the difference of when you hear the mom's view of what it feels like, and that when you sent me that clip, voice text of, and again I'm driving, and Kristi is she works for the airlines, and she's been in New York, she's been in London since I've been trying to connect with you and your mom, and then I sent her what you sent to me, and I just said, this journey of you in your recovery to make amends to your mother, like every mother that reads that it just hits so home, because I know I heard my son when I got the call that he lost his battle, and he would not have if fentanyl was not in his walk. If it wasn't in his poison, he wouldn't have died with what was in his system. Alcohol and weed was in his system. The fentanyl was what took him, and he left rehab. But when you got that call, it was, I'm sorry, Mom, I took it too far. And it's that, it's the wording of your mom. She said, I have, and I'm going to, just to refer to your mom now with her journey. And you said 25 years. Is that what how long have you been sober now, fully recovered?
Me, so now it's 14 months. But
Okay.
it was 25 years of active, like that's his like active like 24/7 addiction.
Yes.
And I started recovery 10 years ago, and I went through like 5 rehabs, so many meetings and sponsors, and I just couldn't get it. I literally couldn't get it. It was just like the recovery was there, which was good. There's nothing wrong with, don't get us wrong, there's nothing wrong with recovery. It's just I needed extra guidance through my trauma. I needed intense trauma therapy, but I needed my escape. The drugs for me was just, I never felt comfortable, as you read in me, but I never felt comfortable as a child. Even though what happened, it wasn't every single piece of clothing I wore, didn't like it. I wanted to cut my own skin off because I didn't like the way I looked. I couldn't get a proper connection with anybody. Every single person, I had different groups of friends, and every single person I wore a different mask for. It was like a performance every day. I was like a performing monkey. Who am I going to perform to today? Who did they want me to be? Because I didn't know who I was, because I didn't understand feelings. I was thinking too fast. I was thinking too slow. I was trying to just be what people wanted me to be, because I couldn't be myself, because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And that's all be mental health with but like what you just said there, when I took my first line of coke, it was literally, as you hear a lot of addicts use it, it's like a big warm hug. It's like literally being hugged off Santa Claus. Do you know what I mean? It's like Santa Claus hugging you and carry you down Christmas.
Yes.
It would be someone like that as a child. But it's just like, and that's what it felt like for me. I got high, but I never got the highs I never got the highs of what people would go out partying, like going out, like doing their drugs, sniffing, crack, whatever you wanted to do. I never got them feelings. Mine was just when I took cocaine, because that was my first drug. When I started with cocaine, it was just, I felt normal.
You felt okay.
It wasn't okay. Like, it's just like, and that's why when everyone was getting high and then wanted to go home, I'm feeling okay. I don't want this feeling to end. I know that there's no going up for me. If I stop using night ends, I'm going back down to me again, and I couldn't be me.
It would. It explains it. I mean, again, so perfectly, because it's just the depth of the truth of it. It's not like that was like you looked forward to it or it was exciting, but that at some point it just became the thing. You just felt normal. Like you felt like you could be around be comfortable in yourself. And my son, he did suffer from dual diagnosis, which was with the high cannabis. And I know that I've shared with you that I'm not that I'm shifting. Fentanyl is the raising awareness. There's still so many people. The levels have dropped slightly, but it's still the number one taker of lives from 18 to 40. It's still the number one crisis. They're just talking about it now and larger, like on news and the podcasts that we're seeing so many of. But the weed psychoses and where it starts with, I know with my son, weed was the lesser. I never thought that would have been he was a skateboarder. It went along with that. In my mind, I could beat myself up 1,000 times, and I do, and I have, about but he didn't. It didn't present until he was like 21, and it was alcohol that presented as. It just changed him completely. It wasn't something he could hide. It was DUIs, hurting himself, being erratic, being in jail, things that you. So I saw the train coming from that point on. I saw like the 21 would be so, but he, as a young man, you're willful and you're independent. You have your own thoughts on how you can do things. And as a mom, we're seeing the pain, we're seeing the struggle, and we're just trying to pick up the pieces and kind of juggle everything without knowing what we're even facing, what we're doing. Yeah.
That's what I used to like, when I used to like, even as a kid, like my mum knew I was a bit different, and but she was like, not different, but she knew I was like
special.
I struggled, like everything I did, I had to do 100 miles. This is before even my first drug. I had to do everything 100 miles an hour, like somebody skateboard.
Yes.
It was like, if I got something in my head, I didn't care about schoolwork. I didn't care about this. Because I got my dad put us in a fight when I was younger, and I got put in when I was 5-year-old, and every single night I had to train. When at school, all I thought about was the night time, so I didn't care about school. And then it was all the switches from fighting every single night for like till I was from 5-year-old to I was 16. But then I had switches of addiction. It was anything that was mind altering. So then girls came when I was 13. I met like, it was my first serious like proper girl. I had a switch. I started to switch over to get the girls. And I hated drugs. I hated everything. I hated every single thing about drugs. I did
That's
knock
what
about
my
with people.
son would say.
I didn't knock about with people who had drugs. I would allow them to knock about with us. And it was a girl why I took my first drug. It was because I was at a party. I had alcohol in my system, which I wasn't a very good drinker.
No.
I was the worst drinker. I wasn't a very good drinker. And they were said you could drink for longer if you have this. Sex is better on this cocaine, and all you'll feel more confident. You can talk. And it was like I was like, because my boundaries were down because I was drunk. I was like, oh, it gives a line. And that's when I had that feeling. But it's like, when I looked into the neuroscience of it, it's like the dopamine hit the brain gets off a line of cocaine is something that nothing in life can ever match. No love, no emotions, no happiness. It can never, ever match this. And this is why you're always chasing your first high. So once you've had this dopamine hit, you never, ever, doesn't matter which drug I've had since then. I mean, I went on to copious amounts of smoke and crack. And then after the crack, it was that was after me trauma. And the way it worked was I got addicted to pinning cocaine. And it wasn't, the intensity of pinning cocaine is like 1,000 times to crack. And it's like, but I wasn't addicted to the actual, the hit. What I was addicted to, which was the sickness of it, was the fine line between life and death. So I enjoyed going into psychosis because I was escaping. I enjoyed overdosing because I wasn't bothered about coming back. I knew the pain I put my mum through and my dad through and my fiancée through. And it was just like, oh, if I die, I die. At least wherever I go to next. And it's just like, so I was addicted to the fit. I was addicted to the psychosis. I was addicted to seeing things in the room that weren't there. And I'd lost all aspects of life. Even when I died, and I died for like 5 minutes, I was brought back, and then I was put in induced coma for 6 years. When I woke up, it was a
6
case
years?
of 6 days. No, 6 days.
I was like, 6
Sorry,
years.
6 days.
No.
6 days.
days.
And then I was brought round because my organs wouldn't work by themselves, so I was living off machines. And then when they brought us back, I took us a day or so to get back, but as soon as I knew where I was, as soon as I heard them words, Gavin, do you know why I hear you an addict? You're in the ICU. I was up and out within a couple of hours, signed myself out. I had a pin in my arm straight away. After overdosing, after dying, because I couldn't it was to escape. My choice was removed.
And that's why when someone could say, and and they still will say it. I mean, you could, with doing the social media, there's the people that will keyboard warriors. They just will say anything, and they can be really, really mean. And we're mothers that have lost, and I've had to really put a shell, like maybe put a protective cover up. Pray in the morning, pray at night, through the day, serenity prayer. But I am doing this for a purpose for my son. But when people say things like, well, why didn't he just stop, or why, and you just hear these things like, I first have to just like not listen to it and just, I was trying to answer questions, but there's no understood. What we're trying to do is raise kindness, compassion, bring the, the awareness, breaking the stigma, the shame behind. There is everything you've just explained. Absolutely. Just, it encapsulates like that feeling. This is not something you want to be in, where you're in dying, being in a hospital bed, and then going right back to what just put you there and put your mom through.
No, exactly. I mean, I used to talk about the crying. My mum used to tell you about the crying. I used to cry when I'd take drugs. Yeah. So it's like I would sit there and my mum would come in, because sometimes I couldn't even look after myself. So my mum, before she knew about boundaries, before she knew about trying to help us, before she knew about recovery for herself, she would beg us, she would plead with us.
Try everything. I would try everything possible as a mother. I would beg him to stop. I've tried everything.
Or tried buyers to stop.
Actually, I tried giving him money. I tried not giving him money. I tried saying I would buy him things if he you wanted to cut fight once over, didn't you? I'll buy a cut, right? Let's just get it clean.
But it's even
and it was like bribery. It was kind of bribery, and I was trying all of that. Didn't work. And then one day when I went into his room, and he actually broke down. Because I was upset, and he broke down, and he he said, Mum, I don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
I don't want to live like this. I want to die. I want to actually die. And I remember me thinking to myself, actually, if you died, Gavin, you'll be at peace because this is not living. And what kind of mother says things like that?
No,
Do you know what I mean? Me to actually think
loves,
that.
a mother that loves her
a mother that
child.
loves her child, because to see your child struggle and know they're suffering and they don't know how to stop or they can't is the worst pain I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy.
No.
It is, it's debilitating. It's crushing. You die 1,000 times waiting for the call. All of the things, and as you just said, so perfectly, it is. It's it's you're begging, you're pleading, you're saying, if you love me, all of those things.
Despite everything.
And having other family members judge you,
That's the
having
thing is,
people give advice that they're not around.
Or not my family. This wouldn't happen to my child.
The problem.
That's what we get a lot. You know what it is, and we'll get that a lot. And it's just like, and it's my mum put us through 5 rehabs. She sent us all around London, all around the country to the best psychotherapists, psychiatrists, best counsellors.
Got a good job.
She bought us businesses to try and keep your mind entertained. I bankrupted all them business that she bought us. She gave us unlimited amount of money. This is before she knew. But then she tried the opposites. She tried like not putting love with boundaries in. You can't have this. You can't have this. But I'll buy you food. I'll buy you a place, a flat for you.
Of course.
She even moved us to like the countryside, in a beautiful place in the countryside. I still found a way to get it. I mean, well, I was living in St. Moritz, and it's in my book. I was living in St. Moritz. I was staying at the Bad Woods Palace. I was there for 3 months, and because I moved there because I was working for someone, and I couldn't get drugs in St. Moritz. So I got in the car and I drove 23 and a half hours to Marbella because I knew I could get it there. And it took us 23 and a half hours, and I just went there, and then I never went back. The extremes you go to get the drug. But the thing, like, I know we're jumping about here a bit, but jumping back to the fentanyl, it's like fentanyl in the UK, it's just starting to get bad. It's nowhere near America, but it's getting bad. But I'm researching a lot on it, and especially when since I've been speaking to you, and it's the kill, like all these. I've been reading about all the deaths on fentanyl and especially in London, and it's they don't go out and buy fentanyl as your son. It's
poison.
People who just it's poison. People are just mixing it in with the heroin,
right?
And it's because it's so cheap. It's 100 times. It's 100 times more powerful as well. And this is how people are dying through not even wanting to die. It's like they're getting sold something, which I know it's still, but they're getting given a product which is killing them instantly. And it's the way fentanyl was working as well as it actually tells your brain not to breathe in again, and it just that's how it stops. The receptors in your head just actually stop. But even before the poison hits, it stops your heart beating. It chooses not to beat anymore.
Yes.
And it's like it's just insane. I think last year there was about 70, 80 deaths in the UK last year in fentanyl, which is nothing like America. 70,000 or 80,000, I think it is a year, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's just like
that is one of the things I had wanted to. I think I messaged you, but I did want to touch on this. That you're not seeing. So fentanyl isn't as prevalent as it is, the overdosing, the poisoning in UK, but you're seeing it come there now.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Not at the minute. It's nowhere near America yet, but it is rising. Like we've got our epidemic is cocaine and ketamine at the minute. Ketamine's massive as well, but fentanyl it's starting to creep up very, very recently, and there is going to be an epidemic on it. We always follow America everything and anything, and it is going to get big. Like it is going to get, it's going to start killing. And the thing about it is, it kills you instantly. There's no. This is the bad thing, and it's so cheap as well. So the people selling it, the dealers, they're going to chuck that in because it's so cheap. It's the same price as paracetamol. Do you know what I mean? And that's why they're mixing it, and it's killing it. It is.
Well, then, one of the things, Gavin, that I want to say, and I want to address to your mom as well, is in all the struggles that you have had with your usage as a parent. I used to always think that I was Devin's teacher and I was there to teach him in life. But what Devin wasn't my easiest child to raise, but Devin made me a better person. But through my journey as a parent, my other kids were easier for me to raise, which made me feel like I did my job correctly as a mom. Because as a mother, when you have a child that struggles, you're always questioning. I was always questioning my parenting ability. But one of the biggest gifts Devin gave to me was humility, was unconditional love, was reaching my hand out in support to other families that were struggling. Empathy, compassion, love. So Devin's ability to love life the way he did love life is similar to your journey. And I would tell this to Devin all the time. He made me a better person. So as becoming a better person, it is sometimes through other people's struggles. And I don't know how your mom feels about that. I don't know if you have any other siblings, but it'd be interesting to hear mom's point of view.
I've got two girls, Gavin's two sisters. Obviously, same dad, same upbringing exactly. Gavin was always, as we said, he was always a little bit different, but I didn't see anything wrong with that. I just thought he was more attention seeking, more wanting different things. He loved his trainers, and he wouldn't just want the newest pair on the block. He'd want the last 3 pairs that came out, you know what I mean? And he put everything in, like when he did his fighting, as he says, his karate, everything had to be 100 mile an hour into that. Everything he did was 100 mile an hour. But I always split myself equally between the three children that I had. And I don't feel as though I ever treat them any differently. But when Gavin started to take the drugs, and as he got older, me and his dad, we're not together now. I've been remarried, but me and his dad are still very friendly. And we always used to say, what did we do wrong? Where did we go wrong with Gavin? Because we've got 3 children. The other 2 are no problem. We've never had problems with them.
Right.
But with Gavin, the drugs and the addictions and the mental health, how could this be? So I always felt as though, is it something I've done as a mother? His dad used to think, is it something he's done? And our strength together more or less thought we haven't. It's later on in life we find out that Gavin has got problems as well, and he does have mental health, which wasn't recognised really when he was younger. I mean, nowadays it is recognised, but then it wasn't. It was more or less get on with it. You know, if you've got some problem, get on with it and deal with it. And when Gavin started to go into the drugs and it got heavier and heavier, I'll admit it, I didn't understand myself. I didn't have enough knowledge on it all. I just, Gavin, stop taking drugs. What are you taking drugs for? You're being stupid, you're being silly. And I did not understand. Plus, at the time, I didn't know about Gavin's trauma. I didn't find that out for years. And when I found that out, obviously, it was a horrendous thing to find out.
Yes.
And friends of mine, friends and family out there would kind of turn their back and say, well, he needs to grow up, he needs to get himself over it, he needs to, get off these drugs, he needs to do this. But they don't understand enough because we're not educated enough. Nobody is educated enough, which is my reason why the need to start educating from a very young age. I've got a 7-year-old grandson, and he needs to be educated now about drugs. He needs to know what's going to happen if he's not educated. And if the schools and the colleges are not going to educate him, then I'm going to educate him about it.
That's
And I think it needs to get into schools, which Gavin wants to get into schools, and he wants to educate them.
And see, Gavin, that is a difficult role for you to have in life, but you are I always call it chosen. You have become, you have been chosen to shake up the family unit, to bring love, to bring compassion, to bring awareness. So when those tapes start rolling back in your head, you are a chosen servant, and that's something. Your strength is admirable.
There's a lot of people.
I wish they would have chose someone else.
I say that all the time. I'm like, I wish
and I have never been a strong person. Gavin has made me a strong person, and
Those
my
are the
husband
gifts,
now,
right?
he has made me a strong person, because my husband has stood by Gavin like it would his own son.
Yeah.
And he's been a backbone for me, hasn't he, really?
Yeah.
So what it is
And
like,
so
wait,
it's
which use
taking those hardships and finding purpose for the
this
pain
is
inside those hardships. Because I'm right there with your mom. I did not,
100%.
I did
I
not
need
want to
to.
be chosen either.
So when I got when the book started doing well, and when I set up like a TikTok account and I share across social medias, and this is for like it's mainly aimed at families. Yes, I do a few for the addicts, but it's for families. It's to help families understand. But it's like I'm working with a company. Sorry, I'm working with a charity at the minute. It's the biggest charity in the UK, and it's called the Forward Trust, and it's in every single prison from the south up to like 3/4 of the way up the UK.
That's awesome.
So I do shares into the prison online. But I want, like, I've been speaking to a few people because yes, we've got this epidemic at the minute. The drugs addiction and the things of addiction, like the suicides, the deaths of it, the failures of the organs. If you put them all together, it's the biggest killing disease in the country, at the UK at the minute. So we are against such a threshold to try and put this all right. I'm trying to get it more into the schools for prevention.
Yeah.
So getting them all the mental health tested. Because if I knew all my mental health as a child, then I would be able to have techniques, guidance, therapy as a young age. So I knew the routes I would go down. So we need to look at the prevention more. But it's me going through all this is there was two Gavins, and you've always said that there's two Gavins. It's like there was like she used to call us a devil. It was like literally I would be the most loving child, emotional child, very emotional. Love, I would cut my own heart out for me family. But as soon as I had a drug inside of us, I would step over me mum dying on her last breath just to get me drug. And it's got nothing to do with love. And I'd be crying doing it, but I wouldn't be able to stop.
That's how I learned to deal with it. It was actually Gavin's sister who once said to me, Mum, you've got to look at it this way. We've got Gavin and we've got his twin who's a devil. And she used to always say that to me. And so when Gavin would be under deep addiction, I used to think that's not Gavin. That is the devil, you know?
Yes.
And when Gavin is like this is my son, this is Gavin. And so I had to look at it like I had two sons.
Yes.
And it's the only way in my head I could deal with it.
And such
someone,
wise
I think it was you, Gavin, that just did say that alcohol it just affected you so differently as it is, like with the addiction when it sets in for everyone. It's going to be something different. For Dylan, it was immediate. It was like allergic reaction. It was he was it was an immediate, like his eyes would change. He was just irate, and he was vulgar. He was like, he just was not himself. He was topsy-turvy and fall downstairs. And it just so scary to know that he just, because again, I mean, at the age is really a difficult age to concept where everyone's going to be drinking out and you're not going to be a part of that. And but it just was never, ever going to be something, it does runs on both sides of his family, just and also the mental health part. We have our family I would tell him, I said, these things have happened so he could have an understanding. And then it skips. And then I said, you got it, you have it. And you have to be, we would have these conversations as I became more aware that it was affecting him so deeply that he couldn't stop. The loss of girlfriend, that pain, COVID hit here and it was really isolating. So there was this shutdown. And then he continued to smoke the cannabis, which was really just making him in another like an altered world. But he started slowly, like you talked about the things that things you loved, like, and again, just boys in general, being super active. He was like, had to skateboard. He'd skateboard off the roof into the pool and just going. But it was also just to really kind of let out a lot of, stuff. His trauma also that I did not know, and I do know now. And I just talked to him in our quiet moments between heaven and earth, that those traumas are, my heart just breaks to know that he carried that, and that so many young boys and girls experience these things that they hold inside as if it's there to share, their shame to not share, when that's what we want to do, is break break open that, where that becomes, we need to have more, just not that a parent doesn't have we all always have compassion, but as a community, that this becomes more talked about and shared, so someone's not walking around feeling that they've done something wrong. My Dylan did share with me, and he was able to say he's let us go, he's forgiven, but ultimately he hadn't worked on what was hurting him inside. And the things I know now, but I'm just saying that the vulnerability that you share in your story and that vulnerability is how other people will heal. They will feel that they can also share without.
It's like the dark, like I've always said, it's like I used to be dead ashamed, and it's like I did a post not long ago on shame, and shame's one of the biggest killers out there.
Yes,
because the society we have look down on addiction, they look down on things that happen to a person when it's not their fault, especially with social media, how keyboard warriors, like we're talking about, if you see anything. So I thought, you know what? Forget everything. I'm just going to give it the full truth. If people, because I had I've got good recovery now, and I've got good people, a good team of people around us with me, therapy, and with me fiance, and with me mum, me dad, and me stepdad. That's the people I've got around us. I've got one really good friend who's around us, all like a lot.
Yeah,
I've got my good circle of friends now. I don't care now what the arseholes think. What I care about now is the people who have shame, who were hiding behind closed doors, the people, the families and mothers who were struggling, who don't know where to turn to. So I thought, I'm going to put my trauma out there, my darkest secrets. I'm going to put all the dark things I did in addiction out there. I'm just going to give me darkest secrets. This is what happened to us. This is what I did, and this is what I've become now through it. So I will give me darkest secrets out there if it helps one person.
That's right.
So,
Purpose
and
for
that's
your
what we
pain.
feel. I mean, it is, we are absolutely just, I've asked permission. When we started this podcast, Kristi and I met, just so connected, but I do feel we're all connected. And that's when there's no mistakes in meeting people that you're going to meet and share with and collaborate with or join in, because it's like there's like, we have turned our pain into purpose to help one mother, one father not endure going forward. And that's so we shared our story. We met on the social media, the better side of social media, where I had posted something. I had posted something on, I still go on to where Addicts, it's called Addicts Mom. It's on Facebook. And it's, I was on that site looking for ways to help Dylan when he would leave rehab on and off. And I just would normally, after Dylan passed, I would leave a prayer hand and to a mother that was struggling. And on this post, it was a rehab that said, "We have the answer," basically, said, "We have the answer." And I was like, I just said, well, what is the answer? Don't leave these moms that, what do you tell a mother that's lost if you have the answer? What's the answer? Don't hold it back for money. Just tell us. And,
exactly.
And Kristi, because there is no one answer. There's no one way, no one. No, and Kristi responded, and she was just kind of floating around on the social media that night too. And she didn't even, so she just answered me and she just said, "You're not alone. It's not your fault.
I'm sorry, it's not your
And
fault.
I'm sorry, it's not your fault." And those words were like a layer, like that was my warm blanket. It was like, because I felt so just like, my son didn't reach recovery. What did I do wrong? They're that whole nother next level. So it was, we tried everything and then he didn't, but it's the fentanyl. He didn't stand a chance. There was nobody with him. There was no Narcan. There was, they didn't do an investigation. These are things that I'm fighting again, more reform for. This needs to be looked at as, this is again an attack on the most vulnerable, and where it came from is the devil itself, but it's being, we just want to change and make this, we want to change the way things are looked at and have it be spoken as the evil that it is, and the poison. It's a poisoning. It's not an overdose. It's a poison. One of
the beautiful things that you have right here, right now, is when you share your shame, you allow your mom to share, and I correct my words, but there's sometimes shame in our parenting as parents to our children because we're doing everything we know how to do. So there were times where not intentionally I did hurt my child by shaming my child, by misunderstanding, by not. I have the same story. I've never used a drug in my life, so I didn't know how to handle a child who was addicted. I called him my wild card. He was my wild card, so different than all my other children. But in that, when you heal, your mom heals.
Yeah.
When you heal, your sisters heal. And the family unit becomes stronger. And what you give to your nephews or nieces is such a gift of self resilience.
Yeah.
And resilience, mental resilience, is not talked about enough in our society. So you are strong, and your family unit is strong in spite of the
100%.
traumas and in spite of the imperfections. So what I see is such a beautiful, beautiful picture of a mom and son.
Yeah.
And it makes me.
So Gavin, with the
See,
the
here
book
comes
being
my
released and
give him a hug for me.
Thank you so much.
Give him. Yeah.
the book.
I'm happy for you too.
Thank you so
And-
much. Thank you.
What do you see for you going forward in like another book? Are you feeling
So I've got
getting
parts. Yeah, I've got part 2 coming out of the book.
right? I saw that.
So
Yes.
so I've got part 2 coming out in about a month's time, and that's so part 1's like the down spiral. It starts off with me death, but then it goes back to the childhood. It goes all the way through life, through the mental health, and it goes through me first use and the geographical changes, and then it goes into me trauma. And then after me trauma, that's where this part 1 finishes. And then part 2 starts with like the deep progression of drugs, like from coke to crack to pin and cocaine. And then it goes into all the psychosis, the mental health, so why the rehabs didn't work, rehabs didn't work because I wasn't even mentioning me trauma. So they couldn't fix something, they didn't even know what was going on. The geographical change that I used to try. I lived in New York, I lived in Monte Carlo, I lived in St. Moritz, I lived in Marbella, I lived in Liverpool, Newcastle, London. And everywhere I went of a new start, it didn't work because I was taking the disease with us wherever I went.
Right.
And so it goes into that. But then it goes into the why I got when I first started with trauma counselling, how I linked that with a modern like 13-step program, and then it goes into the family recovery, because what you were just saying there is and I speak to this with loads of parents. So when an addict gets into recovery and he starts changing and he's moving on, but the parent is still sitting there thinking, jumping at every command, watching the eyes, watching the movements, watching this, and
waiting for the relapse.
Yes.
So the parent
trust has to be built back. Yeah.
So it's a family disease. It's got to be a family recovery. So the mother, the parents, whoever's close to them, the partner needs therapy. They need like known, like understanding of the disease, which is where like Al-Anon or like not like Nar-Anon, places like this, they help the family.
They do.
Like work through, and you get sponsors to it, just the same as an addict does.
Yes.
But it needs to be more of this in actual rehabs. So I'm working. I'm talking about in a minute of developing like a rehab where the families actually, when they go through the recovery, my belief is you do steps 1 to 5. After step 5, you need your therapy. Then you need your trauma counseling, because there's no point moving on to your character defects if you're still, I went on to my character defects, working on my step 6 and 7, but I was still carrying my trauma through. So although my recovery, addiction was getting better, all my impulses, all my emotions were still coming off my trauma and the survival part of my brain. And then I'd go into my amends process 8 and 9, and I was given false amends because I wasn't changed as a person. So we're trying to develop this new system. But what you touched on this before is everyone's like saying, try this way it works, or try this way it works. It's got to be faith, or it's got to be the 12 steps, or it's got to be smart recovery, or it's got to be about the neuroscience, or it's got to be medical. I'm like, I don't care what works for anybody. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different. if whatever works for you works for you. I had to try them all, and I had to put them all together for me. I need everything, so it's just like whatever works for anybody. I don't care is the wrong word, but I don't care which system someone uses when I'm talking to them on podcasts or when I'm talking to them, and as long as that works for them, I'll back you with whatever works for you, because what works for me might not work for you.
Right.
But there's still these recovery systems, and they're different. It's still kind of saying, "Oh, do it this way," but it's we need to connect together for everybody.
We need to connect together.
100%. Or else we're still isolated, and it's like we don't need to isolate no more.
I was just going to say that connectedness, that reform that I keep talking about, because when I'm in my going to bed, and my mind just goes, okay, and it's like so there's so much that needs to happen, but the reform of more access, more quality, what's available to one person for a price or dollar should be available to anybody. That that access needs to be available, like detox 24 hours a day they give you maybe 3 days to detox, and you're sent out again with nothing done at all. So there needs to be reform for that. These are bigger issues, but I think that people that have platforms can start working on that, and that's what I'm hoping to do. Start sharing more about what can be done.
I love that as well, and it's like so the thing about it as well is like I keep on getting people coming onto me platforms and saying, "Oh, you should charge this for subscriptions to do this for you, Gavin, and I'm like, no, whatever I do now is open to everyone, because I was lucky enough. My mum has done well in life, so she was able to put me through these private rehabs.
Yes.
But I'm talking to all these parents are like, "Oh, my son's on a 7-month waiting list to get into rehab." I'm thinking, 7 months, he can be dead in it. He can be dead in an hour, and this is why it's so scary. And it's like, if it was another disease, like let's take cancer. See if someone's going to die, someone's got 6 months left to live in the UK, but they've got a program there which will be able to make them live for another 20 years. They'll be chucked straight into it. The money will be funded, but because of the stigma of addiction and addicts, it's just wait 6 months. If they die, they die. That's the
waiting. When you're waiting for a bed. But we, Dylan did do many rehabs, different types of rehabs, and we did we did holistic route. You do all of it. But I'm saying when it comes to that point of, it does take the surrender within the person struggling to say, 100%. I'm ready now. I'm going to open the door that says open. I'm going through, and whatever that door is, I'm gonna succumb to someone that's wiser, been through it longer, has a story, and just be ready. And I think
100%. You can't love or help or talk or plead an addict into recovery. It doesn't work. I mean, I did my first 2 rehabs. I'd written bared my teeth, and I did them just to get me mum and my family off my back, and for them to pay me debt to all the dealers. So I was never going to make it at the first 2 rehabs because I didn't want it. I had my relapse ready for when I came out.
Right.
You've got to want it.
Yes.
And there's no. It's the only disease in the world that tells you haven't got it.
That's
it's a massive family. It's a family disease that drags the full family into hell with them. It's one of the biggest killing diseases in the world. It creates psychosis. It creates mental health. It destroys communities, never mind just a single person.
And it's the awareness around it. It's the only illness that forces family members to walk away from those that they love.
Exactly, that's a massive
illness where you have to turn away from the person you love the most in life. And as a parent and as a mother, you die 1,000 times because it's our job to protect our children.
100%. We talk about that a lot. Like we get a lot of parents coming on, and it's like, I mean, we must talk about at least 1,000 different messages and comments we go through a day on our social, but a lot more than sometimes. And it's just about.
It's nearly always mothers, isn't it? It's nearly always.
But I think it's about 75% is mothers. Yes. And what the mothers are saying is
right, what can I do?
Yeah, it's like, what can I do? What can I do? And I say, right. It is so hard when my mum says, right, you need to put boundaries in, love them from a distance. Say, I'm here and I love you and I'll do anything for your recovery when you want that, but I won't feed. And the mum's like, oh no, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. And we can't say it to the mothers or the fathers or whoever's loving the partners. And it's try to word it in a way of like, I know you don't understand the disease. If you just learn a bit about the disease, but you actually, when you're giving your child the money, and it's how you did it to me, you're killing us.
You're enabling your child.
And it's hard as hell to say that.
And the thing about that is that, you know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly.
If you stop, and especially now, if you say,
horrible.
no, you know, that's why I always just say, do what you can live with always, which is love your child always, where they're at. An adult child, you're always your babies, you're always 100%. Your baby. Doesn't matter the age, but it's like, you know, meet them where they're at. Always it's that it's just that though. It's like no matter what you do, if you say no, we're not, you know, not living at home, or you're gonna be not enabled, it's with the fentanyl that just has stripped that all away. So it really is just it's so hard. That's what we're doing.
That's why your journey sitting there together is such a beautiful beautiful
it
journey.
is. It's like and it's like Jordan is, it's like my full life, it was just like, it was, I've always been a mummy's boy. It's like I'd go on, I'd be a bad lad out on the streets, but I'd come back, I'd be mummy's boy. But when I took the drug, whenever I was horrible. But and I did things which was is not me, but it's just, you just don't have a choice. But when I met my fiance, it was just a case of like, my mum knew before me. She introduced us, and it was just like love at first sight. But even then, it was
she
just
over
like,
there? Bring her on, Gavin.
Let us see her.
That's what I said to her. I said to her when I met her, I was just like, I said, I'm going to marry you. And I said, I'm not ready yet, but I'm going to marry you.
That was after an hour.
It was after an hour. I wanted to marry her straight away.
Hello.
And
hello. Hey, who's this angel?
This is Amy. And Amy, bless her. So one of the first, when we first got together, and this shows you how powerful the disease was. I was my mum went on holiday. My counsellor was on holiday at the time, and Amy, bless her, was like, it was our first within the first month. This was a couple of years ago. And it was just like, and I relapsed. So it was just like, well, you. So
So basically, this is my therapist. Yes. This is my number one therapist.
Yes,
she's always
someone you can divulge everything to, right?
Yeah. We've always had this is how you would deal with them. This is how you would react in this situation. Say this to him, say that, because she's had 25 years experience of it. But this time I was left alone, and I thought, well, I can't bother her because she's on holiday. He had told us that for the first time he admitted, I've took drugs. And I could see it in his eyes. You mentioned before about the look in the eyes.
Yes.
We joke about this, but I watch a lot of horror movies, and I go at the possession, and his eyes just switch, and his face gets distorted, and his jaw goes wide. It's like, you're on drugs. And no, I'm not. But you can't argue with it, and eventually he does admit it. But no, it was bad. I had nobody to turn to. And then, because then he admitted that he did it, I thought, I'm just going to have to ride this out. And then it was, take me to the cash point. I promised only £30. So I'm thinking, well, I'll just do it, because I don't want to say no. I don't really know what to do. So I was just taking them, and then every couple of hours, we'll go again. I promised just one more. He opened my eyes to drugs. Growing up, I was one of these that would party on a weekend. I took drugs. I sniffed cocaine. I've tried weed. I used to drink. I've never seen anything like this kind of drug taken unless it was in the movies. He opened my eyes to it, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. It was injecting cocaine. It was a £50 bag every half an hour. So it's just like every half an hour, do that. And in my mind, it was like, this is the last one. I wasn't just seeing it for effect. It was like, this is one more, and that's me done.
Right.
Bang that in. Half an hour later, I need another one. So this went on for 3 days. Every half an hour, kept on doing it. But then it was like, so I said to her, I says, I'm going to take a fit. And as soon as I knew I was going to take a fit.
My God. Oh my God.
It was. He did say there might be a point if I do
traumatizing.
Yeah, well, I had to get my own therapy afterwards, because, like I say, it's something I've never seen before. You see people die on TV, you see people take drugs on TV, but you don't see them step into the bedroom, start shaking, and it just fell at he slammed. He knew he was going to fit by the way he twisted when he did it, and he twisted in the air and sort of threw himself to the floor. And it probably was only 5 minutes, but I just remember just thinking, it just isn't real. Still to this day, it's not real. And then it was like shaking on the floor, and I froze. I didn't know what to do. I had hid the phone. My phone was actually hidden from him because when he was going through psychosis for this 2 days, he kept like wanting to go through everything. There was people in the house. There was things happening on my phone which weren't real, but they were real in Gavin's head.
Right.
So I remember thinking, where's the phone? The dogs, with the 2 little dogs we've got, they sensed that it was going to happen, and they just wouldn't stop barking, and they were at his feet barking, and I was just like, and he was still fitting, there was foam coming from his mouth. I had to pick the dogs up and shut them out of the room, and then he just took this gasp. Oh my God. His eyes rolled back into his head. It was up, and then the eyes go really small, like pinpricks. And it felt like as if it was, it probably wasn't, it felt like it was 30 minutes, and it just went completely grey, and there was just no colour left in them at all. It was horrific.
So that was kind of our first date.
Yeah, your first year.
And she's still here to tell it.
But what
You're
it was,
lucky.
so what it was
keeper.
she stood by us, bless her, till my mum got back, and then they had a little meeting, and I had a meeting with my counsellor, and they says, right, and that's when everything changed. I went into intense cat therapy. Amy had to step away from us. She had to put boundaries in place. She had to like leave us to get on with me therapy.
Gavin,
and then Amy needed her own therapy.
If you turn a little,
and then Amy needed her own therapy as well. So I was getting me cat therapy over me trauma. So Amy was getting her therapy. My mum was with her support group. And then we became a family support network. And then that's when we built as a family, like recovery together, which made us like inseparable and stronger together. And that's why when we talk about it and we go through with families, this is why we put on you need therapy. If you've been with an addict who is a severe, like a 24/7 using addict, that is trauma. Like you were saying before, it's underlying trauma. You don't respond, or you don't have emotions the same way as a family, as loving an addict. When you've lived and loved an addict, it's the most horrendous feeling you can go through. But also on the flip side, because we went through that much pain, darkness, and suffering, as you were saying, now it's just like now it's inseparable. I love our connection is inseparable. We help as many people as we can together. Amy does her shares online. Amy's an ambassador as well she helps families at the Ambassador Trust as well. She's got a first talk in the jails in a couple of weeks' time with the families. My mum does talks as well, and it's. I mean, my mum kicks our asses on all the talks. She's flying out. She gets the most views by a mile.
Your mom's the strong one.
I know.
So strong.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
It is, but it's for something that dark, and like you were saying, it's when we said before about my sisters, it's like it's.
He misses his sisters, even though he won't admit to it.
Because it's disease, they probably wouldn't be alive. Luckily, for some reason, I've stayed alive through the 3 deaths, the overdoses, the comas, the psycho. For some reason, but if it had been, I'd rather it was me.
You've always said that. He's always said, even though he's not speaking to his sisters right now, he says, I'd rather it was me than my sisters because I can cope with it.
Yeah. My sisters